Welcome to Sew and Tell, where sewists from fashion, theater, and indie sewing bring their different perspectives to the hottest topics in the sewing community. I'm Amanda Carestillo.
I'm Meg Healy.
And I'm Kate Seinard.
Today on the podcast, we are talking about sewing on camera, what types of sewing videos we like to watch and learn from, as well as our experiences being in front of the camera. Then we will have a discussion about taking pictures and documenting our sewing projects. We'll share a little something in our Sewjo segment, and then we'll answer a listener question. But before we begin, how's everybody doing today? How's our October going? Our Pants-tober.
Pants-tober.
Yes, still Pants-tober.
It's going all right. I really need to get on the pants train, though. I'm kind of far behind, but there's, I guess, a little bit of time left. Not much.
Well, I am not on Pants-tober. I am on clean and reorganize and update the sewing room-tober.
Yay!
So, yes, I took a trip to IKEA last weekend. I got some desks and tables for my sewing machines. I got some storage cube thingies, and those aren't up yet.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm super excited. I've built the desks, haven't built the cubes yet because now I'm getting screwdriver.
Oh no!
I'm getting screwdriver blisters on my palm, so I'm going to give myself a couple days.
That's a whole other skill set, building IKEA furniture.
I know. I should go. We have electric drills. I should just go get one of those. I'm just afraid that I'll destroy the furniture or something. But it's going along. It's probably still going to be a few days until it's a few days, possibly a few weeks till it's actually ready for full use. But I do have my actual sewing machine available if I decide I have the time to actually sew anything. But most of the time, if I have spare time, I'm working on other stuff at the moment. So very excited. Sorry, had to brag.
I'm excited for you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, first Amanda, now Kate. Yeah. I guess I'm next.
You're next.
You're
totally next.
Oh, yeah, I need to take a trip to IKEA too. I feel like sewing helps because it's a flat pieces building a 3D thing.
Oh, totally.
You'd think that sewing would help. I mean, I walked away from many IKEA. Julian, I'm like, you handle it. But
I kind of like putting together IKEA furniture. And I think it is because of the I like following the instructions.
Yeah.
Step by step. That being said, I haven't done drawers or anything. But a bookshelf, I will rock a bookshelf.
Well, the desk that I got, there were a total of 3 drawers between them, and they're not hard. Again, it's just you follow the instructions, and it was very Zen kind of thing for me. I was just sitting there, I had a podcast on. Sometimes I just sat there and squinted at the instructions, trying to figure out exactly what they wanted. But everything worked, and it all went together in the end. And the second one went easier than the first one because it was effectively the same desk. It was just less fancy. So it's narrower and doesn't have drawers and cabinet. And so it was, I had a good time. IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think the key is following in the instructions, which I'm not good at. So.
Yes.
Well, I'm wearing my Fremantle pants today. I love this. Amanda introduced me to this pattern, and I've made so many of them. These are my pink ones. I love them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I've never made those for me. I've only made them for my husband. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I need to. I
need to make them for Julian. I'm sure this is the exact style that he would like, so I should make him some.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I'll make some for him on camera. Good segue.
There you go. That's a point.
Yes. So sewing on camera isn't just for the professionals. With the rise of TikTok, YouTube, social media tutorials, and more, everyone can share sewing tips and tricks online. Since we all have much experience as the host sewing on camera, we thought we would discuss what helps us and what we have learned, and as well as what we like to watch too. Yeah, so let's just kick it off with Do you watch sewing videos, and what do you like to watch?
I tend to watch sewing videos for really specific things. I actually just looked up earlier this week. I was trying to figure out how to the best way to gather on my serger, because I've been trying some different techniques for gathering that don't involve sewing a straight stitch and then gathering by hand, because I'll pretty much do whatever I can to avoid that. So I looked for a video earlier this week, and I also have to say I feel like I tend to look up how to use different feet. I think in part for the work that we did to prepare for Stitch Lab.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that, just really kind of specific things like that I'm kind of in the sewing moment, forget how to do something, and need a quick resource. That's really where I'm at. I feel like there are so many good sewing vloggers out there now. I should really maybe once I'm done watching Game of Thrones for the second time fully through, I'll have more time for sewing entertainment videos. It's taken a long time.
I couldn't even get through the first one. I know it's a very unpopular. Speaking of unpopular TV opinions, from our episode, yeah. How about you, Kate?
Well, I don't watch a lot of sewing videos, honestly. I find them a little too slow for me most of the time. I want to get the information I want and move on. And so I prefer to read my information or see it in pictures, with words on a blog. There are some exceptions. Every once in a while I need to see it happening. And so, I have one blog tutorial that I really like that is, invisible zippers, just in case anyone was wondering where I was going with that. But generally, I don't do a lot of sewing video watching. But every once in a while, I have some really good. I can really enjoy it, like Meg's sloper course that she did. I sat down to make a pant sloper a while ago, and that was kind of cool because that was kind of like hanging out with Meg and having her tell me how to do a thing. Except I couldn't talk back, so that wasn't fun. But that's about it. I like Amanda. If I have something where I'm like, I have to see how this works because the pictures aren't doing it for me, I might go find a sewing video, but otherwise it's not my favorite way of learning.
I will say, if you have not discovered on YouTube that you can change the playback speed when you're watching something. So sometimes I will watch things like at 1.5 times if I feel, because I
interesting.
Feel you on the video. Sometimes it can be a little slow. So I'm constantly zipping around to find exactly where I want.
Yeah.
Or you can do the speed up technique.
Right. Well, and I mean, I totally think that most of the time what's on there is completely justified. I'm just a fairly advanced sewer, so I don't need I don't need a lot of the sort of basic stuff. I just want to get to this one thing. And so, but I think it's good that information exists and is there. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the videos, just that they don't work well with my brain.
Yeah, I'm like Amanda. I search very specific things, like how to. I remember I was doing some research for a project, how to shorten like a metal zipper. Like I get I like really niche things, and I'm always like jump. Even if the video is like 2 minutes, I'm already like jumping ahead. I'm already clicking the bar right in. But I do like some kind of like edutainment too. Like my favorite, I've been watching With Wendy on YouTube, and she is so amazing. Like she's really quirky and funny, and I loved watching that sort of stuff too because it's inspiring. I'm not you could learn how to sew. She does do very well at teaching the task at hand, but she's really creative, and so I'm doing more watching of vloggers on YouTube since we kind of ramped up our own YouTube.
Yes.
That's been really great being in a part of that community too. I'm seeing some other things, but yeah, even when I'm watching, like I rewatch some of my own older videos because I forget it and I'm still jumping around. I'm like, okay, Meg, get to the point. With some people,
Meg, you're really rambling here.
I know, but it's interesting. So in the Berta Style certification course, we shot the second one in a different format than the first. And it's interesting because some students, it really is personal preference. Some students liked it was all hands and VO and kind of quick snap. It was quicker and a lot more sped up. And some people liked that better. And then the first where it was kind of more, conversational. I'm talking as I'm sewing. And then it was vice versa. So I found that interesting to get that student feedback but I like a mix of both too, for sure. So now talking about like actually us being behind the camera, do we ever get nervous sewing on camera? Do we sew better or worse? I know Kate's answer to
yes.
this.
Well, I used to get nervous, and I don't anymore. And I was thinking about this earlier. I think it's because our team is so good. We have
yes, I agree.
Ginger, who's the host of the Quilt and Tell podcast, or one of the hosts, and she's our producer, and she's amazing, and she preps so well, and she's very good at just keeping us on track and going. And our camera guy, Evan, is super sweet, and we like to chat. And when we bring in other camera guys, they're also really nice. And it's really comfortable being in the studio with that team. And so that's a huge part of it for me is I'm just so used to working with them. I don't think about it anymore. The only time I do get nervous is when I'm sewing something that requires a whole lot of precision, like understitching or stitching in the ditch, something like that, because you can't, the way we film anyway, you can't be right in front of the camera. You are in front of the machine. You have to be a little bit to the side so that the camera can see past you. And so it's a strange angle to be sewing at. And it's always really nerve-wracking sitting down and doing something that needs really precise stitching. But as Meg pointed out, that is kind of my sewing superpower is every time I'm nervous about it, I just sit down, I start to sew, I finish sewing. I'm like, wow, that was great. I don't sew that well when I'm in a good position. So, it always ends up working out, I guess.
I have to say that I totally agree. Like the people that we have around us when we're working on these video projects are so good. And they're also, they make the scenario comfortable, but I also know they're just really good at editing. So I don't have to, I'm not so fixated on not messing up, which probably means I mess up less often. Maybe. But I have to say, like, this is an area where I have grown so much and been challenged so much because I am not an on-camera person. That's not my norm. I'm an editor. I'm behind the scenes, doing the grunt work. So it's really, it's really been challenging in the best way possible. And I think that a couple of things have made me better at that. One is just doing it more, and really getting, giving yourself grace at the beginning and also realizing that, you'll make progress over time. You learn, it feels more natural as the more you do it. Two is doing this podcast has really helped me just, I remember those first episodes and I remember we listened back to the first episode and we all thought we would sound really nervous and we actually didn't sound very nervous, but I actually was very nervous, thinking about just this new format and recording it live and, kind of stream of consciousness. There's only so much you can do to prepare. And in some cases it's kind of better if you don't and you just kind of have a conversation. But that took a lot of getting used to, and I think that has totally helped my on-camera work, as well as our Stitch Lab program or our series that we put together. That is it was actually fun. It was, fun to do on camera, which was just really different from my previous experience. it was definitely more off the cuff.
Yeah.
So, you can make mistakes and
exactly.
you don't have to be perfect. And kind of the whole point there is making sewing really accessible and not scary for people. So I don't know. I've really evolved a lot. And I feel like now I'm still a little bit nervous. The most recent sew along was probably the best I've ever felt.
Oh, good.
Going into a sew along, and it was an involved one with lots of zipper installations, and it was a pretty complicated project. So I have to say that I still get nervous, but it's a wholly different experience than what it was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was thrown into this very early. I think they threw me in front of the camera when I started working.
Yeah.
and they just see, and I was really nervous at first. Sometimes I feel like now I get almost a little too comfortable, and I slip in a lot of likes, and like similarly to what I do on the podcast, I get told a lot. I do that. I'm working on it. I'm very now self-aware.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's okay. But I would agree that the crew is, it's like you don't know what you have until it's gone. Like specifically not having to, having sponsored videos that I need to produce for my job and not being able to travel these past 2 years. I've had to kind of take on the role of, and it is hard.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate, the borders are opening back up. So I'm so excited to get back in the studio and just worry about what I'm sewing and not so much the camera angle. But it has taught me so much about, doing more of, being more experimental and doing a little bit more of my, my own thing too. It's so good when you step out of your comfort zone and you learn a new skill. Like for you, Amanda, it was like the transition to being on camera kind of opened up for me. It was like working the cameras and knowing a bit more about lighting and some light video, it's always good to learn a new skill. And it's what I also learned too. It's like all these videos too that I watch, it's just like you're sewing, it doesn't need to be perfect. Like anyone could do that. If you have a cool tip or trick, just put on your phone and put it up. It's so accessible now in the cameras on phones, and you can get little tripods. And I think and I know I want to branch out more, getting on TikTok. I know we were in a meeting the other day, and one of our colleagues was, do you guys have a TikTok? I was going, there's so many sewing videos and craft videos on now, and that's so amazing. And so anyone can really do it. Which leads me to, have either of you ever tried filming something that you're sewing, like not quote unquote for work or not in studio, like in your own kind of time for your own social media, or just kind of recording for later or sharing a tip?
I have, and it's largely been in the realm of reels. And talk about a sewing opinion. There are definitely divisions among the Instagram sewing community regarding reels, and Instagram's kind of push towards more video format. But I didn't feel the urge to fight it so much because it is such a big part of the roller skating community.
Right.
Everybody was doing wheels. Everybody was doing reels. And, that's kind of roller skating isn't really that exciting or interesting without video,
Right.
So I feel like it really didn't feel like too much of a stretch for me. I don't think I'm particularly good at it, but I do feel like, I don't know, video is such a good format for sewing.
Exactly.
I've seen so many good creative reels, and whether or not people feel pressure to do them or not, I just feel
for sure.
There's a lot of creative potential there. So I feel like, I was among the people who felt challenged and kind of this was new territory in some ways for sewing, but also you know, I kind of feel like embrace it and have fun and don't, you know, get too caught up in views. Like just do it for fun, because it was kind of fun to learn some really basic, you know, editing stuff through the Instagram app. But like I said, like I did a fun one recently with my daughter. I don't know. It's kind of, I haven't done any like hardcore sewing tips or techniques yet. I just like to take little videos and put them to music. That's the extent of it. But that's all it has to be, you know? That's all it has to be.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done it at all. As you all know, I am bad at Instagram, and I have continued to be bad at Instagram throughout 2021. So I haven't gotten to the point of trying to do anything like that. I don't know. Amanda makes it sound less scary than I thought it was, but also I don't at the moment have any sort of inspiration for anything that I could do with that kind of thing. So if I ever get that kind of inspiration, I'll give it a try. But until then, I'm okay not.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing too. If you don't want to, you know, that's totally valid as well. And sometimes I wish that I just like, I don't know. I wish that I didn't want to as much, because then I know I can and then I don't. And then I feel bad about myself, because I'm like, I could do all this stuff. And then I get distracted and, you know, watch reality television. But I definitely, maybe when we get around to our resolution, did Amanda leave?
Yeah, she needed to go get Gus.
Was Gus meowing at the door?
Oh my gosh. It's gotten cold, so he wants constant mom snuggles.
Yeah. I heard him. I'm sweet. Like, does somebody need No, that's not my cat's. That's Amanda's cat.
No. He's very dramatic.
And I also heard you were talking that you have Gus printed on a fabric.
I have Gus printed on a fabric.
Detour. Okay. That is so adorable. Is it like a repeat pattern? You from Spoonflower, right?
Yes, it's from Spoonflower. And it is a painting that my daughter did of him. And it is a repeat. It's black and white, obviously, tuxedo cat. And he was actually sitting on the fabric this morning. So I have a picture of that. But it's going to become a shower curtain. And I am so excited about it. It's going to be like graphic, you know, white and black. And there's a couple of other fabrics that I got printed to pair with it. But yeah, he is going to be immortalized in shower curtain form.
That is so adorable. That gives me so much even inspiration. Just I need now bunny fabric as soon as possible. As soon as possible. And maybe I need to share that experience. I'll try doing a video on, you know, turning your pet into like a fabric print or something. And that would be so cute. I think a shower curtain is such a good place for that type of fabric, like a fun custom fabric.
Kind of novelty.
Novelty, exactly. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, for sure. Which I think I'll have to then YouTube. How do you make a shower curtain? Because that's the thing. You think it's easy, but then you watch a video and you actually learn how to, you know, dimensions and stuff. Like that is something that I would seek out to learn doing, you know?
We should probably just go ahead and make that video for YouTube. I'm taking notes.
Taking notes. But what I was saying is, part of my resolution, I think, will be to do more, because it is just what it roots from me is like my like passion is sewing, but it is like I never wanted to be like a teacher when I was growing up, but learning from, you know, going to like learning how to sew in school. I just want everybody to know, like, if they want to know this skill, and I I feel like I'm so enthusiastic about it. And I hope I try and do my best job at getting people excited and inspired and not intimidated. And so that's where my true passion for, that's why I do love being on camera and sewing on camera, just to show people that. So that's where kind of my passion comes from in this. And I never thought of myself as a teacher, because I think growing up in school, like non-sewing school, I wasn't a very quote unquote grade wise, like a bright student. So you never and so it's just, it's really cool to see what life kind of guides to you,
Totally. Like never expected we would be talking about like,
I know,
knit fabrics, wearing lab coats on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like where life leads you. But I will say, every time I've had to approach a sewing on camera instructor situation, I think of you, Meg, as like the gold standard. You're so good at it. And I don't know if it's easy for you, but you make it look easy. And you've definitely inspired me as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. I feel like, now it's definitely, going through the motions now of just, I don't really get nervous, or I guess what I said before, I get almost a little too comfortable. Yeah. And I sometimes forget that I'm rolling, and then I'm like, oh.
I know. And then like the cuss words slip out.
If there was a blooper of all my years of cuss words edited together, it would be a 5-hour long show.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think a good point in here is that like sewing on camera, teaching on camera, specific to sewing is like, I think some people are probably just good at it. But I also think that you can get good at it. And if it feels scary at first, don't take that as a cue that you're not good at it. Like it's probably going to feel scary for a little bit. You do have to put yourself out there, push yourself a little bit if it doesn't feel 100% normal and natural at first. But I think it's worth trying. I think it's worth exploring. Yeah,
if you feel like you have an inhibition to do so, if you feel like that outlet would be a good outlet for you, definitely, give it a shot, and like don't give up if it's truly a skill and something that you want to share, and even honestly get some side money off of. Like you can make money teaching how to sew online, whether it is through YouTube, like views, or it's so easy the way that you can set up your own platform on, like you can make a website, get a domain it's very easily to set up like a integrated platform where you upload a video. Like it is something that if you feel like you have a passion for it and you want to, if you have a certain, niche, you're good at certain something, you can make it into a job.
Yeah. Little side hustle.
Yeah.
I will also say, I definitely go through like moods with video, and now the struggle is just like getting still shots and like feeling the motivation to even do that. So if that's where you're at, then like you're in good company here. Like it definitely, you make it what you want it to be.
For sure. Well, shall we take a break? That's a good segue into next talking about documenting.
Absolutely.
Our sewing mix, for sure.
Okay, well, Kate, you mentioned something at break, and I think it's worth mentioning to our audience, because I definitely felt like it's worth that perspective.
Yeah.
So how often do you rewatch videos that you appear in?
I avoid watching videos that I'm in because it makes me very uncomfortable, unless they're making me watch them to do a quality control on them. I just avoid it to the point where I have not watched my own episode of Con Crunch, the one that I appeared on.
Oh no!
I still
haven't watched any Stitch Lab. I'm just like, I don't want to see myself existing on camera. So I don't mind doing it, but I kind of hate watching myself. So that's my confession, is that I avoid seeing myself on camera as much as possible. I
completely feel that. It's It's hard. I have occasionally gone back to some of those earlier videos just to watch and have a like, you've come so far moment. But it just gives me, I'm just like instantly sweat. Just, it's so hard to do. So I feel you. But I feel we've confessed that felt important to share just in case people have that same experience and wonder if they're alone. No.
And I watch I have sometimes a lot of daytime TV on in the back while I work, and like this A-list celebrity interviews. A lot of A-list actors say that they don't like to watch, like they've never seen these movies that they're in. Like it's definitely, goes across the board. Yeah. For me, I hate re-listening to the pod. I've never listened to them. I hate listening to myself. I can watch because there's a lot going on. I can distract myself, but when my voice is isolated, I just like just for me, I hate listening to myself. I can watch, but not listen.
Well, I feel like you basically just said we're A-listers, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that everybody is their own harshest critic, and that's what it comes
for
down
sure
to in the end.
Totally. Yeah, we should all stop.
But except when I will say, except when I'm on like FaceTime and sometimes like Zoom meetings, I'm just looking at myself.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So distracting.
If I lean on my hand like this, I look a lot better than.
Oh no! I don't always do that. Sometimes I catch myself doing that.
It's hard. And I think it's a very universal experience. Well, let's talk a little bit about documenting your makes. Because I think kind of like video, people have different feelings about this. But I think I'll just kind of kick us off. I have a couple of Instagram accounts, and I have one that's specifically dedicated to sewing because it just got weird to kind of cross the streams so much between family and then with roller skating, and there just needed separate spaces. So I use Instagram heavily for that and have very inconsistent standards when it comes to taking photos for Instagram. But how about you two?
Well, I've kind of copied what I saw you doing on Instagram to some extent, where I, just made up a little hashtag that was unique enough that I didn't think anyone else would need to use it, and use that to tag my makes. But I often forget to take pictures of my new makes. And so I don't actually, it's not like a full record. It's just sort of I remembered to take a picture of this and put it on Instagram. Awkward thumbs up. So yeah, that's about as far as I go. I'm not real good about documenting, to be honest.
How about you, Meg?
Well, a lot of my things that I post on Instagram are projects from work or something I'm filming. So I already have photos of it. I'm just kind of bad at posting because I get so in my head about like I need to really let go of, like a curator. I was looking at my feed the other day and I noticed all the pictures that I was posting. My head was like turned to the side. Yeah. I was like, I need to put more front on, and I just need to get out of my head a little. It's so easy to do that on Instagram, which is kind of a little bit of its fault. I know it's good to take social media breaks and stuff, but I have such a big backlog of because it's just for a good documentation. It's good to a lot of people when I'm when I'm meeting people out and about, if they find out I sew my own clothes, and what's your Instagram? And I'm like, but I've made recently made that, and then so they could see everything that I've made, and so I just need to get better at posting. But I do, fortunately have Julian takes a lot of my pictures, so I do pretty much document a lot of things that I've made.
Yeah,
I just need to post them.
Yeah. As Kate mentioned, I use like a yearly. I change it out. Hashtag for myself, which is really nice because I can just search that hashtag as long as no one else starts to use it, which has happened. And then I can see everything I've made, and that's been really helpful.
That's cool.
And then I sometimes, like I was thinking about this fall, and I was thinking about I want to make some more peasant blouses. And I was like, well, I feel like I made a lot of peasant blouses at some point. Like I made a whole bunch of them. And so I went back through and just kind of looked, because I feel like otherwise there's so much life happening that I just wouldn't really remember. And I feel like I've learned a lot by just looking back at my feed and saying, oh yeah, that top, where the heck did that top go? It's like lost in my house somewhere, or, you know, packing for a trip, or like seasons changing, like even like just remembering what I have. And I tend to make notes for myself. Just, I think in the spirit of like sharing information with the sewing community too, you know, any hacks that I've done or adjustments or sizes.
Exactly. Sizes. I always love when, you know, you're searching for a pattern.
Yeah. A little bit more perspective. So at any rate, what are some of your favorite tips for getting good pictures of garments? Because I think it can be really challenging, especially if you don't have a talented hubby or a talented fourth grader, which is my case. Although she's in school now, so she's pretty busy. So I have recently, I did the selfie stick for a while, and that was just never very good. And now I have a little stand with a light on it. But I still very much try to just get pics during the day, natural lighting, keep it as simple for myself as possible. Because I definitely tried to train my husband. And then it turned out that my fourth grader was the better level for me because she's shorter. And so now I'm like, is this stand as high as my fourth grader? I think so. I think we're in the good range, you know? But I think those are probably my main tips, just figuring it out if you're doing it on your own, like a good way to stand up your phone and have your remote clicker, which is very easy to set up. And then, thinking about your lighting, natural being probably the easiest scenario for most people. And then backgrounds, you know, I feel like our neighbor at some point last year painted their brick white. And it was like the perfect backdrop. And I was always over there, like moving their trash can and taking pictures while they were out and about. They didn't care. But now we have new neighbors who live in the house, and they have their RV parked there. So I've had to get a little bit more creative. And I'm not sneaking over to the neighbors to take pictures of my handmade garments anymore. So, but I do think simple is best. I know a lot of people on Instagram use like a basic sweep backdrop. You could put up a sheet if you really wanted to take it. And I mean, that's kind of the point. Take it as far as you want. There have been, you know, calls for seated photos too. So people can see how things look in a variety of positions and from a variety of angles. But I think that it's really... you know, I like to feel like I'm adding to the like sewing community knowledge base when I share photos, but I'm also I have very selfish reasons for doing it, just so I remember what I made. And so I don't tend to get quite as technical with all the various angles. And I think I always look to the right. That's my Instagram angle. Any other tips from y'all? Meg, I feel like you get really great backdrops just being in the metro area.
Yeah. My favorite backdrop is really, although I have a ton of really cool, I live right downtown. I love taking pictures in front of brick walls and, you know, alleyways. But I really love taking photos in front of like greenery and like nature. I think that's really nice. Not just because it's green. Well, partly. Maybe. Maybe. But yeah, so I'm really going to miss this exact spot that I'm in. There's so many. But then again, I'm excited to explore a new area and new picture opportunities. But personally, I like a background that has, you know, something going on, you know. Yeah. I tend to always like to photograph it in front of something, if it's like a texture or something like that. I really like that. And also another tip that I have, if you have an iPhone and an Apple Watch, you can actually, and I've taken it when Julian can't photograph me, I discovered that you can go in the camera function and you can actually see a mini preview on so you can center yourself looking at it, and then you can take a picture and it times 3 seconds, and then you kind of pose. So it's like a built-in clicker if you have an Apple Watch. I discovered that after like several months of having it, that I can remotely take pictures and get a preview, because the camera on the phone that's not like the selfie camera is not as good as the like outward one. So you can't really see yourself in the lens. So that would be my biggest tip if you have an Apple Watch, or I'm not sure what other smartwatches are, but I feel like I'm sure they would have a similar functionality if it's that type of smartwatch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thinking about backdrops, I realized how dedicated I used to be to that, because I would do makeup. I would take my daughter to our neighborhood preschool and like take photos there, because they had this really lovely like kind of terracotta building. And it's just kind of gone downhill from there. And now I'm like, I haven't done my hair. I'm going to stand in front of my garage and take some pictures, but that's where I'm at and I'm okay with it. So I feel like, I don't know. It's okay wherever your standards are for that. I feel like.
My standards are very low because I am not a very good photographer, and my husband, God bless him, I love him so much, but he tilts the phone at a funny angle when he takes pictures, and like my head ends up way bigger than my feet, and it's like this really bizarre, and I'm like, no. And so it's because he's taller than me and he's trying to, But so I also use a little tripod and a timer, and I usually use my backyard because it's a very nice backyard. It's very lush, and
nice.
There's a lot of stuff back there, but also trying to get to a place where I can not be in the direct sunlight, because the direct sunlight tends to,
that's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so trying to get into the diffuse natural light, into the shadow, can be kind of hard, because there are only certain spots where it's like I can stand here, but no further back, because then my head will be in the light. So I struggle a lot with it, but I try not to be very judgmental of myself and just say, as long as it kind of shows what I want it to show, I'm not going to sit here and yell at myself because it's not art, because I'm not that kind of artist. So
that's a good tip about not like total direct sunlight. I know when Julian directs, like when he's like, you think, the sunspot's right here, I'm going to stay, but he's saying, you can't see the fabric looks washed out, or, so that's a good tip. They get that diffused kind of, because you really want to see like the fabric, and if there's a sheen to the you can get that better highs and lows and everything like that. So that's a great tip too, Kate.
Oh, thanks. Mm-hmm. I had a good tip, huh?
You did. But what I was thinking, what you were saying, Amanda, it's like from what we were saying before, you're often your own harshest critic. But when I like look at I remember you posted what's the Meadowwood top. I don't really notice that was your garage. Like you would think that, I'm just taking in front of my garage, where I'm focused on your blouse because it's something new that you made. And so it's something that you probably criticize yourself more, where I just saw this like amazing top that I need to make. You should. I love that pattern so much.
It's so great. Yeah. You're right though. You're right. And when I'm looking at pictures of people, I'm not like, you're totally standing in front of your garage, like that's never going through my mind. So you're totally right about that.
Yeah. I need to if I'm really bad, if it's not like a professional, like not nicely documented, with a nice camera by Julian, or I find it hard to, I need to post more if it's like, even just a mirror selfie, it's like a mid-progress, like fitting pic or something. I need to get better at myself and allow myself to, it's just that vision of like, here's my curated, all perfectly lit, perfectly posed, the garments looking good photos, where it probably would be more, it would be good for my own. Yeah, because I don't even think I've documented these Fremantle pants because they weren't for work, and I wear them all the time. Like, they're so cool, and I could probably just take a picture right now, maybe I should.
I think you should, because you sew so much, and I'm always like catching things on your story. I'm like, oh, is that new? That's new. And actually, what you said, Meg, made me think about this. Like, at some point, there was a lot of conversation in Instagram sewing community about not just posting finished makes.
Right.
It doesn't have to be about that. I love those process shots.
Me too.
Love those beautiful details that people post. Love seeing people troubleshoot. Like, it doesn't have to be just make after make. It could be, hey, I made this 3 years ago and I'm wearing it again in this new way, or I mended it. I think that's an important thing to remember too. It doesn't always have to be just a parade of everything you've ever made. Lots of different kinds of content to share there. But I do think I've definitely seen a lot of benefits from documenting makes, no matter how far you want to go with it. And I did a little write-up for the Sew Daily blog, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes, because there's some tips, there's some kind of big picture thoughts, some of what we've touched on here. But yeah, lots of things to consider if you want to. You don't have to. Let's talk about Sewjo.
All right, it is time for our Sewjo segment. This is the segment in which we talk about what is giving us our sewing inspiration, our sewing mojo. So let's see. Meg, why don't you start us off today?
Well, I actually just finished making this dress. It's a Berta pattern, and I've seen it made so many times. It crosses in the front and it ties in the back. It's from this year's issue. I can't exactly remember the exact issue, but I've seen it made so many times online. I find sometimes Berta has just this one standout, and you see it made again and again and again. And this was one of those styles. And I did it on my sketching live. I had it planned that Blackbird original print is like the art brush strokes. And I was going to make the vintage lace skirt in it, but then I had enough to make the dress, and the dress called for a tencel fabric, and so I just made it, and I'm obsessed with it. It's just like a comfy fit. It has this cool twist. And so I'm getting into and it's a nice fall dress. It's a nice tencel with, the sleeves, you could wear a turtleneck under it. It's a nice hemline, and it's a heavier fabric. So I'm just really into fall dresses still. I love it.
You should probably document that.
I should probably document that. It's so funny because I put it in my closet, and I totally forgot that I made it until this morning when I was putting away some clothes. I literally forgot I made it last week.
Yeah.
But if I document it, maybe I would, while I'm on Instagram, oh, someone liked that. Oh, yeah, I did make that. I can wear it.
Yeah. All right. Amanda, how about you?
I've been feeling the sewing inspiration, and I've made a few things in the last week or so. My daughter had been asking for me to make her a black ribbed knit t-shirt. So I did that, and she loves it.
Aww.
And it's so funny because I have like the exact same fabric and the exact same cut. And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of funny, but at any rate, she loves her black ribbed knit t-shirt that I made her. And I also made another Trinchera t-shirt hack. That was another reel I did recently, which was kind of fun. I showed off all of the different Trinchera t-shirts that I've made using the pattern from So Quick and Easy. And I made another kind of baby doll dress. So it's got a little peplum, a little bit of ruffle, but it's a floral print on like this kind of rusty color. And it felt like a real departure for me. And even when I wear it and I like look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, whoa, like floral? This is so weird. But I like it. And it was a good reminder to break your own rules sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because I actually bought the fabric for my daughter. I made her something with it and I had enough. So we have like some multiple twinning opportunities, which we will definitely partake in because we're cheesy like that. And the meadowwood that you mentioned, Meg, I thought that and maybe I did. I had like a sewing just moment of realization that I have a lot of woven kind of tanks, and I have some woven peasant blouses with like full sleeves, but I don't have anything kind of in between.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of like woven t-shirts. Mm-hmm. And I also, I picked the meadowwood because I love buttons, but I just don't wear button-ups very much. And this one was a nice kind of, it's got the button-up feature, but it doesn't have a collar. It's a little bit more casual. It's easier for me to wear. And I have bought some other fabric to make some other things, but I think I'm going to be on a meadowwood kick here for a while. And that pattern is by Straight Stitch Designs. That's Kimberly Payne, who also does a lot of work for Sew News.
Oh, yeah.
I'll link to that pattern in the show notes. So a little bit of everything, but definitely feeling some Sewjo, just kind of wanting to be in my sewing space and turn the music up loud and veg out and sew.
Well, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I am still like in serious cleaning, organization, rearranging sort of mode here. But as things are getting a little bit closer to being, and now I use this room, I'm kind of eyeing some stuff. Most notably, I noticed earlier this week, Liesl Gibson of Liesl Company. Is that it? Mm-hmm. She released several new patterns, actually. And the one that caught my eye was the Geneva top. It's a collarless V-neck button down, and it's got 2 sleeve options, one of which are little bell sleeves, which I love. And this is the same designer who did my favorite pattern of all time, the Gallery Tunic. And so I'm sitting here like, I might need to try this guy out because it looks a lot like it doesn't look like the Gallery Tunic, but it's got some of the same, like it's got a cute little pleat in the back. And I don't know, it kind of has the same sort of silhouette almost. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm just excited about it. So we're putting that on my list of things to think about once my room is ready to go.
I love that pattern. And I also love how she releases little collections. It's like, ooh, so many goodies to look at all at once. And they're just going to be like wonderfully drafted and come together beautifully.
Oh, I love working on the Gallery Tunic for many reasons. But one of them is because the instructions are so good and clear and it's put together so well. And it's not the most complicated pattern in the world, but it's not the simplest either, but it's super easy to do. You just follow the instructions and the placket is easy and the pleat is easy and it's all just easy and I love it.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. I just Googled it, and the Geneva blouse is so cute.
Right?
It's so fall. It's perfect for fall. Like, I need this for fall, like for wovens. And
and it's got the button-up aspect, but not the collar. I think that's it for me.
Well, and it's got like I said, it has a kind of gathered in cuffed version of the sleeve and then the bell. And man, I love a bell sleeve. I really do. So yeah, I'm very excited about that pattern.
Oh, I can't do a bell sleeve. Maybe one day when I have a dishwasher, because washing dishes, it always gets drenched and wet. I love a dishwasher.
I have a very specific method for twisting up sleeves. I don't know that I can actually tell you what it is because it's just kind of a thing that I do. But yeah, I for sleeves that actually go down to my wrist, I have a tendency, if they have any volume to them, I have a tendency to kind of twist them and tuck them up, and for moments like that. Well, anyway, shall we move on to our listener question?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. This one's kind of a toughie, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. But the question is, any time-saving tips for pattern adjustments? Because they take forever. Anybody have any wonderful, wonderful tips?
Make oversized everything.
Avoid them entirely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, I mean, that is tricky. And I don't really have like a set, fit adjustment that I do for every pattern yet. So I'm not doing a lot of like transferring changes from one pattern to the next. So yeah, I don't know. Do you guys?
I have one that I do a lot, and it's kind of after when I make something, like I just make it as is, even if I think because I rarely make a muslin, and if you have a gaping edge or something, instead of, going back to the pattern, you just gather it, add some elastic, make a pleat. I'm a fan of, it's gaping. Oh, a pleat right there. Oh yeah, that was intended. Oh, that's a hack. I added pleats.
Yeah. Design feature.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, I'm going to say that they do take a long time, and it can get kind of frustrating at times. But I think they're really, really worth it when you get a really good fit. And so I think that the more you, so for me, for example, I have at least one standard that I almost always do. Unless it's a very loose fitting garment. If it's a top, I have to blend between my bust and my waist because I'm usually about 2 sizes apart. So that's just something I kind of do by default whenever I get a new pattern. And once you do that kind of adjustment several times, it becomes very second nature, and it doesn't take very much concentration. The more you do the pattern adjustments, the more instinctual they become and the less time they take, which is not a really great answer for that, because what I'm basically saying is, take your time, learn how to do it, and then it'll take you less time. But I mean, that's one of those things that you really do kind of want to take your time on and get right, because I mean, it's the whole point of the garment. If the garment doesn't fit, you're not going to want to wear it. So I think that's a terrible answer to the actual question, but also it's kind of honestly how I feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, it may just be kind of impossible to avoid.
Yeah.
But
if you look like what you were saying, Kate, a custom size line, it can be if you look at what's your bust, waist and hip, and then see what size it is, and then just use a French curve. That can go pretty quickly if you don't have a lot of panels. It's when you have a lot of horizontal seams that can be a little bit more tricky. But if it's kind of a straight side seam, that can be a really quick adjustment to do.
Would having a sloper help, you think?
Only if it's like a fitted because a sloper is basically a good fitted template of your body. So it really would have to, if the garment or pattern that you are making is fitted, kind of also that fitted, basic 1 inch, ease in the waist, 2 inches the hip, 1 in the bust, then that would be a great thing to do. But if it's more stylized pattern, that's why a sloper is great for building a stylized pattern from, so that it's your base size, and then you add your design features onto that. So, but you can use it depending on the pattern, silhouette, and fit.
Well, one of the reasons that I am on my, now going on 3 or 4 year quest to make a good pants sloper is that I have a theory that once I figure out what actually fits my body, I can kind of overlay the sloper with the pattern and, see what adjustments I need to make the pattern fit my body better. Which may in fact be a time saver, but I'm not sure because I haven't successfully done it yet.
Well, maybe we should put a pin in this and have a whole episode on this. I think.
Yeah.
What a great question. And I think we can, this might be a good guest opportunity too. I know there's so many experts in the sewing community. So we'll jot that down for a future episode and we'll go a lot more into it.
We'll have somebody come in who's got like great tips.
Yeah, not just good tips, but like us, but great ones.
Yeah, like great tips.
All right.
Super fun episode, you guys.
Yeah, super fun. When we're on episode 69, we run out of topics. We just talk about sewing on camera. No, I'm just joking.
I don't know. I thought it was really, really compelling and
I did
a good little trip down memory lane.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. I agree.
Well, awesome. Well, until next time, y'all.
Yeah. Happy stitching.
Happy stitching on camera. Bye.
Bye.
For links to everything we talked about in this episode, go to our show notes page at sewdaily.com/sewandtell. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at sewandtellpodcast@goldenpeakmedia.com or visit us on Instagram at sewandtellpod. Answer the Sew and Tell question, tell us your Sewjo, or just leave us some feedback. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe on your podcasting platform of choice, and please leave us a review, ideally a good one, because that helps listeners like you find our podcast. And tell your sewing friends about us too. Thanks for listening, and happy stitching. Sew and Tell is a Sew Daily podcast and produced by Golden Peak Media. It's hosted and produced by Meg Healy, Amanda Carestio, and me, Kate Zeinard. Daisha Clay is our producer. Director of podcasts is Jared Mayer. Tiffany Warble is Director of Content. Kelsey Ratterman handles our marketing, and Andrea Lotz does all things digital. If you'd like more information on sponsoring or advertising on Sew and Tell, go to goldenpeakmedia.com.